What do we have at the foundation of the reading, please? Nine of Swords, Gemini energy at the foundation of the reading. Okay, leading up to this reading, I heard the message that nothing they did has actually worked. It may have slowed you down for a minute, but you just keep getting back up. And I feel that this is really speaking about an energy that's in a lot of your lives that quite possibly made things a little bit more difficult for you than they needed to be. And I feel that there's a realization now that this opposing energy is beginning to have, and that's that they, in some capacity, activated you to become the best version of you that has existed on any timeline. Now, Spirit wants you to know that all of this negativity, all of these weapons that were formed against you have been transmuted in your favor and are now the organic makeup that consists of your rise. Now, this is one of these situations where you're beginning to compartmentalize the struggles that you have faced in your life. And you see very clearly that had you not have gone through certain situations, as bad as they may have been in that moment, you actually wouldn't be where you are right now. And this is something that comes up quite a lot in the readings, you know, when you can have this sort of perspective and see that, yes, I had to walk down that path. I had to go through that tough lesson. I had to go through that heartbreak. Whatever it may be for you, it was necessary to build you up to the person that you've become, or for a lot of you, you're going through this right now. So you're in this energy of becoming. So for those of you that are still going through this, this is a message of encouragement to keep going, that you will reach a point on your path when you can look back on this and say, wow, I couldn't see it in that moment, but I finally understand that all of that was necessary. And I'm also hearing something here about, let me just get this sacral position out. What do we have, please, Spirit? Knight of Pentacles, Earth energy at the sacral. What do we have at the solar plexus, please? Five of Swords. Yeah, this is following what I'm saying here. Actually, the message I was about to deliver was in regards to life lessons, right? Wisdom that needed to be accumulated to get to this point. And this has been coming up in a lot of the readings lately. So the Knight of Pentacles here is an energy that is very methodical in its approach, followed by the Five of Swords, which can be this energy of you having terminated some sort of unhealthy relationships in your life. So it's to say that here you are moving down your path, right? And you have these swords, and it almost gives like you have just gotten away with something, right? And now they're after you. And I feel that there's a couple of messages there. On one hand, swords, which can certainly represent knowledge and wisdom in this case, can be exactly what I've been picking up here. It's like you wouldn't have arrived at the space you're in now or where you're about to arrive had you not have traveled through this territory, so to speak. And the Knight of Pentacles here is also telling us that although the energy is taking its time to get you to this new space, it's unshakable. Nothing can stop your forward momentum. I often see the Knight of Pentacles as a tank. It's the slowest moving energy in the tarot, but it gets to where it's going to. And again, we're seeing this energy here after this Nine of Swords. So I feel that this is somebody here, I feel that they had intentions for you, but they're actually finding themselves in the space that they were hoping you would never be able to escape out of. And, you know, as I'm looking at this Nine of Swords, it almost looks like a bit of a maze, right? This person is trapped inside something that they had intended for you. And, you know, the Nine of Swords is also an energy of somebody who is suffering in some capacity, which is the direct result of the energy that they put out into the collective, right? So what we're seeing here, only 3 cards in, is an energy where the universe is killing 2 birds with 1 stone. On one hand, there's an energy here that is receiving some sort of backlash for something they may have put you through. And on the other hand, you are using what you were put through here to help elevate you into this new timeline. And this is a perfect example of how your elevation can teach another a lesson, and how the success that you are now having in your life are a direct result of the struggles that you have been through. What do we have at the heart position, please, Spirit? So Gemini with the Nine of Swords, Earth energy with the Knight of Pentacles, and Aquarius energy with the Five of Swords at the solar plexus. What do we have at the heart, please, Spirit? The Devil, Capricorn energy at the heart. Now, for some of you, this may have been some sort of family situation. It could even have been a marriage that was intended to keep you stuck in some capacity. This Devil card is so good, right? Because we see this, the typical image of a family in the house, but then there's this sort of other dimension where it's showing the devil, right? And the shackles and everything. And though this may appear as the dream, it actually turned out to be some sort of form of bondage. Yeah, there's something about this energy that you are moving on from that can't coexist with where you're going. It's to say that in order to step into this new timeline or this evolution of self, another energy needs to be left behind. We've been getting messages coming through in a number of the readings lately, specifically the last collective reading that I put out a couple of days ago about waking up to the matrix in your life. And this is another example of something that we can all relate to in some capacity, right? Waking up to something in your life that you thought would bring you some level of happiness, some level of security, but it actually made you feel further behind or like you were missing something from your life. It's like you had to go through this situation to actually find yourself. And, this is a really great example. This picture right here of how the matrix can show up in our life. I'm not saying that a family structure or a husband and wife and kids is the matrix. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying here is the situation that came with this for a lot of you, right? It looked good on paper, but once you got in it, it was something completely different. Yeah, I just heard it feels like it's come from hell. Now, this is one of these situations where the idea of it or on paper, it looks good, but then once you're in it, everything changes. We can all relate to how this can certainly take place in romantic partnerships, but this can also be something you experience in your career, business partnerships. It can also be something that you experience in your family. There's so many different levels to this. It's like once you're in something, it all changes. And that's what I'm getting here. And it's one of these situations where it's not easy to get out of it. There's something keeping you there, right? Whether it's contractual or just by way of circumstance, it's not easy to remove yourself from that space. But clearly what I'm picking up here is an individual that has escaped this because they saw through the illusion. What do we have at the throat, please, Spirit? Wow, Six of Cups. Scorpio energy at the throat. Now, the Six of Cups upright can speak about some sort of blessing that comes from the divine. And when this shows up, for example, in love readings, it can sometimes speak about a soulmate partnership or something that feels like it was divinely led. But in reverse here, it's like you're overcoming some sort of an illusion now. And yeah, this is so telling of the energy. Right, we're seeing this individual here, and this looks like one of those old sort of playgrounds, right? Like it's been there for 40 years. It gives this sort of stuck on a merry-go-round kind of energy, like an old haunted carnival is what I'm getting here. And the fact it's in reverse, this can be an energy of being stuck in the past, right? Just living out the same cycle over and over again. And the devil, right, from this deck, with the Six of Cups, this is like living inside an illusion. Living inside some haunted funhouse. This is what I feel a lot of you are in the process, if you haven't already, of escaping from. It's like this right here could Again, be the individual or individuals, whoever it is that you're dealing with, right? The source of this opposing energy. And that's the sort of karmic cycle, the maze that you've escaped from, right? And it also reminds me of one of those mazes that we see in the movies, right? Where it's all the shrubs. There's a name for them. Labyrinth. Okay, yeah. It's like this is a labyrinth here, right? It's like you've escaped the labyrinth. Oh, wow. And look what I just saw here. I can't believe I didn't even notice this. Look. Literally a haunted carnival ride. Yeah, that kind of looks like Elvis right there. And that looks kind of like Marilyn Monroe right there. Huh. Who's that? Is that James Dean? Well, that's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Wow. Okay. It's all coming together. That imagery on that Knight of Pentacles, that can speak about some sort of fantasy, right? Some sort of an illusion as well. It's sort of threading with this Six of Cups here and this Devil card. And then the Five of Swords, this is you making, I just heard, a clean getaway, right? And it's like these energies here are just representing the keepers of the karmic cycle that you've escaped from, or rather the labyrinth. Okay. This sort of gives a Stepford Wives kind of energy as well. This is your family. Aren't you happy? This is exactly the American dream, or just what everybody wants. What do we have at the third eye, please? Strength, Leo energy at the third eye. There's something here that has been siphoning your inner strength. And I heard that it's happening in a way to where you almost can't even see it or feel it. It's like you don't know how disempowered this energy made you until you try to leave it. It's like, why can't I harness the courage to leave this situation? Why do I feel scared, or why do I have fear surrounding this? I'm supposed to be a lion, but here I am, right? Looking like I'm going into emergency surgery. You don't know how much this energy was trying to take from you until you try to get away from it. Yeah, I'm hearing something about you no longer agreeing to suffer to make them feel comfortable. And that's what the real problem is here. It's like this energy wants to see you suffer, wants to know you're suffering, because when it knows that you are in some sort of deficit energetically, it feels powerful. Your suffering equals their power, its power, whatever it is, right? I feel that you've gotten to a point in your life where you have realized that you have sacrificed way more than you were aware of in those moments. Again, it's like when you try to leave, that's when you realize what it is that you have truly relinquished. This can also be one of these energies that made it look like they were providing you with something, right? Which caused, I just heard, stand down tactic. This feels very deep here. A stand down tactic can really speak about an energy saying, hey, no, don't worry about that. I'll take care of that. You don't need to do anything. Just put your mind at ease, right? It's almost like an energy that makes you feel that you don't need to worry about certain spaces because it's essentially taking care of something. In the military, it's a saying that's used to transition from some sort of high alert into a more relaxed energy. But the way I'm picking it up here is it's something that was happening in your personal life. It's like in your everyday waking life, they utilize this stand down tactic so you relinquish some sense of power, right? I'll take care of that for you. And you go, oh, okay. But what you don't realize is there's this campaign going on behind the scenes. So when you do realize what's going on, you're not able to escape. And when you look at the devil card, which is dead center of the reading right here, and how the devil is sort of coming through this portal here, it just adds this sort of depth to all of this, right? Here you are, aren't you happy, right? Never mind those horns. There's no horns. There's no devil tail. You're happy. Look at our shrubs. They're the perfect hue of green. Just focus on our perfectly manicured lawn. And this strength card, it's like this is the awakening. It's like this is the realization. It's almost like spirit guide shaking you awake, like, wake up, wake up. And you're like, what? What? You're like, oh my God, we have to go into emergency surgery, right? This is just speaking metaphorically, right? For what I feel you're going through. It's like this is the awakening. This is the realization. You're like, oh my God, what's been happening? And that's right there at the third eye, right? It's like you're seeing through something right now. You're seeing through this, like, la la la. Here I am, just going around this old merry-go-round. Like, Marilyn? Elvis? What are you guys doing here? It just gives this energy of like a fantasy or just something that's, I mean, this is, again, and I spoke about this in the reading before, this is a perfect example of a matrix, right? I mean, it's literally right here, a labyrinth, right? Which can just be another way of really speaking about a matrix. You're not meant to escape it. What do we have at the crown, please, Spirit? Five of Pentacles. Wow. 2 5s on the table. 5 of Swords, 5 of Pentacles. Okay, so the 5s can speak about moving on, but this is not easy, okay? The 6 of Cups reverse, the Strength card, and the 5 of Pentacles here is an energy where you were starting to realize you can't rely on some sort of environment, something that you have been engaged with for a certain amount of time. It's like you're trying to find the strength to leave behind something that feels familiar. And this is not easy. In fact, it's quite terrifying. But I feel the 5 of Pentacles at the crown position is a message to reach out to your higher self, to the divine, to spirit, for support here, because you don't need to do this alone. There's also a message here to stop looking to the past or this situation for some sense of comfort and stability. Now, the 5 of Pentacles here at that crown position is telling me that the stand down tactic that may have been used, right? This is actually a perfect example of how a stand down tactic can be used when it comes to faith. But it's like somebody influencing you in some capacity, maybe not to pray, not to meditate, not to focus on some sort of spiritual practice, right? But it's very subtle. You know, it could just be somebody that you have around you that takes subtle jabs at your spiritual practice, which causes you to use it less and less, right? It's like a way of subtly disarming you. And so now you get to this point where you realize what it is you have actually agreed to in some capacity here without even being fully aware of it. And it's like now you're going through this awakening process and the divine is like, hey, we realize that you weren't aware of what it was you were actually involved in, but now we're helping you go through this awakening process. But you need to call on us to help you moving forward because we can't intervene because of your free will. All we can do is create events around you and hope that you see the writing on the wall, right? It's like they send you Morse code. And so now here you are, right? Like a wounded soldier. Look at that, right? And then I feel that this is the divine around you, like trying to carry you forward here. It's like you're seeing clearly through the veil now. Unbelievable. And the fact that the 5 of Pentacles is at the crown is telling me that you need to lean on the higher power right now. You really need to nurture your connection with Source more than anything right now because it's going to strengthen your faith, right? And the faith, I mean, look, I see faith as a superpower, right? When you begin to rely on what is unseen and you see how it actually comes through for you when you call on it, it gives you this unwavering sense of faith that can be seen as a superpower. And with that particular superpower, you can begin to move mountains. What do we have at the foundation of the reading, please, Spirit? Page of Wands, fire energy underneath that Nine of Swords at the foundation of the reading. Now, the Page of Wands from this deck is speaking about some sort of misleading energy that was creating setbacks in your life. It needs something to siphon off of, and that something is you, right? You know, this is one of these readings here where a light being, right? Somebody who's meant to bring change to the world incarnates into this life cycle. And by way of circumstance, you just fall into the everyday grind of life, like we all do, right? And you find yourself in a situation like this, right? And again, it doesn't have to be family. It could be business related. It's just representing any sort of partnership here, right? That really had, well, it's like the contract was written in blood, right? Because we see the devil there. It's like a form of selling your soul without even fully realizing it because you're trusting in the energies, right? That you are partnering up with. So here you are, a light being who's incarnated into this world. You fall into this trap, again, like every single person does. And then you wake up inside that trap at some point and you're like, oh my God, where am I? What's going on here? And you start to remember who you are, right? That you're here on a mission. You don't know where these messages are coming from, but they're coming to you. It's like you can't escape the feeling that there's something more for you out there. An angel being incarnated into this world and then being trapped inside this cage, inside this labyrinth, right? Inside this matrix. And then you finally begin to see the writing on the wall. You escape the labyrinth and poof, the illusion is over. And now you're looking at this opposing energy, let's say whoever or whatever it is that you were involved with that was pulling the strings, so to speak. And it's almost like they're this Weasley sort of little demon, right? It's like seeing a kind of possession on someone and you just can't unsee it. And a lot of the times these energetic possessions that take over people have these kinds of archetypes connected to them, and they look a whole lot like that. Okay, that was a lot. What do we have at the sacral? Wow, what a card to follow what I just said. Lucifer, the death card. Okay, now the death card from this deck aligns with the death card in reverse. Death card upright is a very positive energy. It represents change, transformation, just moving on. But the death card from this deck can look like transformation, but in fact, it's stagnation. So it's to say, hey, we're going to build this together. We're going to build this life together. But underneath the surface, it's actually a trap. That's what I'm getting with this death card right here. It's actually a living nightmare, right? It's a fantasy. And, you know, it's so interesting because we're seeing the soldier here, right? And then right here, we're seeing what looks to be the same kinds of soldiers, right? They're just wearing these different outfits. But we're seeing you here as a wounded soldier, right? You've just been through a battle. I mean, it looks like you have a broken leg. Your head is bandaged. And right here, it's like you're in the illusion. So it gives this impression that you were made to think that you're in control here. No, there's nothing going on here. You're in full control. But really, the opposite is true. You were made to think that you were in control, that you knew what was going on here, but it was actually an illusion. I'm also hearing something here about a number of you out there thinking that this was going to get you closer to some sort of vision or quite possibly even a dream that you had for your life, right? A vision realized. You know, this is certainly something that we look for in the institution of marriage, right? But It's to say that you were sold a dream in some capacity, and then you were placed inside some sort of an illusion that you're waking up from now, and you're realizing that not only is it not the dream, but you have managed to move further away from what that dream actually looked like. And that Knight of Pentacles there can also speak about that, right? Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you know the picture, right? I think it's called the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. It's that famous painting of, I think it's Marilyn, James Dean, Elvis. They're all sitting in a corner bar or a diner. Yeah, it's Elvis, James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, and Humphrey Bogart. So if you are to stay in this cycle any longer, you may as well have a funeral for your real dreams, right? It's like you saying, oh, this is not what I signed up for at all. This is not getting me closer to that vision I have for my life. In fact, I couldn't be further away from it. And again, we get the literal death card right underneath it. The death card from this deck can also speak about you feeling stuck. It's an energy of inertia or just your hope being completely destroyed. It's like waking up one day and the person that you thought you were building with in some capacity, you see as the devil, right? It's like you see the horns, you see the tail. It could be a situation as well. Maybe you have a disagreement with this person, or they say something, or something happens that triggers this realization. You're like, wait, what? Okay, I just heard that that's Spirit moving things around you to try and get you to wake up. It's like Spirit is saying, wake up, wake up. You need to look at the writing on the wall here. Yeah, I just heard Morse code again. Okay, some of you actually might literally be hearing ringing in your ears. Yeah, it sounds like Morse code. Wow. That's spirit guides around you trying to wake you up to something. I just heard they're trying to get you to stop ignoring the downloads and to actually process the messages that they're giving to you. There's almost like there's something, okay, yeah, you're not ready to hear the truth, or it's one of these situations where, yeah, I just heard you're asking for help, so the divine gives you the messages, but it's like you can't process it, which I feel is a direct result of what it is that you're actually involved in here. Because to process those downloads would see you opposing this energy altogether and everything it stands for. This Nine of Swords can also be you, right? For those of you that are still going through this situation, it's like, what are these downloads I'm getting? Yeah, I'm hearing something about your dreams. It's like Spirit is trying to awaken you to the fact that you're in some sort of labyrinth with this energy here. Okay, what do we have at the solar plexus, please, Spirit? Six of Pentacles at the solar plexus, Taurus energy. Yeah, there's an energy here for a lot of you that feels like you owe it something, or for some of you, I just heard you belong to it. The Six of Pentacles from this deck can also be an energy that's very envious, can be an energy that feels cheated by life in some capacity, right? This is something we hear about all the time, right? People that feel cheated by life, so they feel the need to make other people suffer, right? This is what I'm getting here. Now, here you are, right? Escaping the labyrinth, right? And then the Agent Smiths, right, inside the Matrix, whoever these are, it's like they're chasing you, right? No, you can't escape. It's like you didn't even know you couldn't escape until you tried to leave. Unbelievable. Right on the bottom of the deck, the Tower. So if there's going to be a card that represents what I just said, it would be the Tower from this deck. The Tower, by definition, speaks about some sort of a destruction to a false sense of security. It's the energy of revelation, right? The Tower from this deck is the opposite of all that. It's the energy that is fearing you having the revelation about all of this. Okay, Let's switch decks. What do we have at the heart, please? Okay, we're going to start. There's two sides to this card. We're going to start on that side first, which is the negative side first. And this is the Three of Pentacles. So again, this is following what we're saying. The Three of Pentacles here is an energy that is trying to block something for you. It's also an energy of stagnation. So we're just really doubling down on what we've already picked up right here. And it doesn't look like this energy is trying to get in your way, right? Like, no, you can't leave. You can't leave the labyrinth, right? The Agent Smiths will track you down. What do we got here? Right there. And of course, that's right underneath the devil. All right. Go to this side. All right. Now we have the Queen of Pentacles, Earth energy, which is telling me that you're going to realize that you have everything you need to transition on from this energy. This is also a message where this devil energy has trapped this Queen of Pentacles, right? It's like for a lot of you, your desire to bring this vision to full realization has manifested through this devil energy as a fear of lack. When the message here is that you don't need anyone or anything to materialize your vision. You can do this on your own. And I feel that that's the deeper lesson here. It's like the divine saying, hey, you had to go through all of this to come out the other end of this and realize that you alone have everything you need to make this happen. And, you know, I'm feeling the energy ramping up here. This is one of these energies where you realize that not only has the vision not materialized, but you're further away from it. However, as soon as you disconnect from this energy, I feel like a slingshotting energy moving forward. In fact, I'm seeing the Eight of Wands. Okay, what do we have at the throat, please, Spirit? King of Pentacles, Earth energy at the throat. So you've just gone from the Queen to the King. So we have a pair right here. So again, this is you realizing that you are fully capable of doing this on your own. And for some of you, it may just be you going it alone, right? Just getting away from a certain energy. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is to overcome the fear of having to go out and walk the path alone for a while. You know, especially if you're dealing with living environments and all these sorts of things where you share things with people. This isn't easy. But the King of Pentacles is not only a very powerful, enterprising kind of energy, but it utilizes discipline, right? So holding yourself accountable to some sort of, I just heard blueprint or some sort of plan, right? So let's say it's you realizing you need to remove yourself from a certain environment. So you put together a plan and now you follow some sort of blueprint step by step, right? So moving in a very disciplined kind of energy. And that actually leads to a certain level of abundance here. And the King of Pentacles, I would say, is the second most abundant card in the tarot behind the Empress. There's an incredible amount of wealth here. There's a lot of money attached to this. So in some cases, here's this energy here, worrying, right? Oh my God, if I remove myself from here, I mean, what am I going to do about this, that, and the other? Not realizing that you're about to step into the King of Pentacles. And see how this is right underneath the Six of Cups here, right? Just this person just in, I mean, it almost looks like they're away with the fairies, right? Just off in La La Land, right? Like la, 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 la. Just on this old haunted playground on this cockatoo spring rider. It's like that's one dimension, right? One timeline. And then on a whole alternate timeline, you're the literal King of Pentacles. This is a timeline jump. On one timeline, you're at the haunted playground spending hours on the Toucan Sam Spring Rider. And on the other timeline, you are running some sort of a business, right? Or you've just got some level of stability that is very impressive. And it also says right here, obedience, right? So again, this just really speaks about this discipline that you need to apply to all of this to actually make it happen. What do we have at the third eye, please, Spirit? Page of Swords, air energy at the third eye. And as I'm looking at this Page of Swords, sometimes when I see the imagery, to me, it looks like an individual who can no longer harm you anymore, right? The mouth is bound up there. And the Page of Swords can quite often speak about gossip and slander, which can just be another way of, speaking about all of this, whatever it is, right? But then there's this poster here, and there's this individual on the poster. To me right now, it's like that's a window into another dimension where you are the King of Pentacles. And it's like this energy is watching, right, from another dimension. Like, how did they escape, right? How did they get away from the haunted playground, right? Yeah, I just heard somebody has watched you turn your life completely around, and they're dumbfounded by it. This is one of these situations where people had some sort of a limited perception of you, and you kind of lived inside of that idea of what they thought you could achieve, but you did it unconsciously. Now, this is something that I think a lot of us can relate to, especially when it comes to family, right? Jesus wasn't really supported, let's say, in his own hometown. People just saw him as Mary and Joseph's son from down the street. But when he went out into the world, he found his people. That's when he really found his voice, so to speak, right? That's where people listened to him and followed his teachings. It's very similar to what I'm getting here, okay? It's like in order to have some level of success in your life, to bring that vision to full realization, you got to get away from these energies. It's like it can't, I said this in one of the other readings recently. It's like this vision and these people, so to speak, can't coexist on the same timeline. And I just heard you need to keep it that way. When you start to get the success, if you haven't already, or you start to bring this vision into realization, or you're just in a timeline where things are going better, whatever it is for you that this is connected to, don't forget what you've been through, okay? Because you can actually begin to lose it very quickly when you add back some of those old energies to the equation. And it can happen so fast that you may not even see it coming. So just be very aware of that. The universe is not blessing you with all of this so you can go back to, I just heard, an old structure, okay? All right, let's close this out. What do we have at the crown, please, Spirit? Perfect. 6 of Wands. Leo energy at the crown to close out the reading. Now, this is a perfect card to get sort of sandwiched between all this energy right here, because here we're seeing this sort of wounded soldier kind of energy, right? And now we're seeing you clearly in a different energy. Whenever I see this card, I think about somebody playing air guitar, right? They're just excited, jumping around their living room, right? Just loving life. But by definition, the 6 of Wands is an energy of victory. And it also speaks about a personal triumph, right? So this is a very big deal here. And it's also seeing you step into a kind of leadership position in your life, King of Pentacles, right? 6 of Wands is an energy of being the boss of your own life. You're not relinquishing power to somebody else, right? Who really doesn't have your best interest in mind. It's all about what they can get from you in the situation. And in closing, I'm hearing that it's going to be your dedication to what is unseen, right, to spirit, to the divine, and your own personal higher power that is going to be what turns all of this around for you. That power cannot be destroyed by any opposing force. So that's what you should always reach for in your darkest hours. Whether you're going through this right now or not, whether you're on the other side, that's a message that you should always take with you, right? That is your hidden superpower. Your hidden superpower is your faith. So use it accordingly. And with that, I will leave it here. All right, this is what I have for all of you. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. And for those of you that would like a personal reading, I've opened up a limited amount of spots. So if you would like to get one, you can find my email in the description down below. But in closing, I would like to know how this reading resonated with you. So drop me a heart and or a comment, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Take care.